Hey you! Yes, you! Do you ever watch anime and tell yourself, I have seen that exact same trope happen so many times it's starting to get so boring? Are you tired of having a main character with ambiguous relation with his sisters? Are you tired of seeing the protagonist get hit by a truck, die and get transported to a fantasy world that works just like an MMORPG somehow?
It ain't my fault he ran right in front of my truck.
Are you tired of seeing the same exact things happen again and again and again in every anime you watch? Well, let me tell you, you're not alone, and here's 10 anime tropes that everyone is tired of seeing. Let's start off with trope number 1, powering up through emotion. This one is a classic. We've all seen at some point in our lives a main character going ballistic because, I don't know, his friend got hurt or his dog got electrocuted by some streamer or some bullshit like that. But this shit is just overdone. First of all, focusing on rage because that's the main emotion that powers up characters, let's be real. How does it make sense that anger would help you use your powers that you were unable to use beforehand? When I get angry personally, I don't get stronger. I just start punching shit irrationally and hurting myself. Trust me, I'm a gamer. I know what I'm talking about. I play fighting games, and when I get mad, I don't play well. Maybe it was cool to see a top 10 anime rage edit back in 2010 when the trope was still pretty new, but nowadays that shit is just overdone and it just became a very lazy way to level up the main character. In my opinion, the only time this trope was used well was in Hunter x Hunter during the Gun vs Pitu fight. This emotional outbreak makes sense because it highlights Gun's immaturity as a person, and there's actually a massive downside to letting the rage take over. Gun literally almost died when he fell for Pitu's rage bait. He did level up for like 5 minutes, but the price to pay was way too big, which is a great way to picture rage. It's a short-term decision that hurts you long-term. Most anime just picture rage as a normal, simple power-up that allows the MC to beat the bad guy and then just go back to normal afterwards like nothing ever happened without any consequences whatsoever. And then the person the main protagonist thought died, which made him angry in the first place. Oh my god, guess what? Shocker, they didn't actually die. Which means that everything is well that ends well. Like, come on, this is just lazy writing. At least if you're gonna kill off someone, let them die. This type of family-friendly Naruto and Fairy Tail crash out, you know, it looks kinda cool, but it's totally lazy and it is a totally wrong depiction of letting rage take over. Anyways, rage is actually making me crash out unironically, so let's forget about this and go with other emotion. Outside of rage, characters also power up through some other bullshit emotions. For this part, let's play a little game. You have 5 seconds to think of an anime that mentions friendship and love every 5 minutes. I know you guessed Fairy Tail, and yes, every single Fairy Tail character powers up through love for their friends. They think about their friends and remember what they fight for, and they gain power. Yet again, a lazy way for the writer to make his characters win unwinnable fights. Having emotional moments in anime is cool, I love it, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that there should never be any emotional moments, I'm not saying this. I'm just tired of seeing them always be the reason why characters power up. It's a lazy way to power up the protagonist, it's easy and it has been done hundreds of times. Find other ways to make your characters win fights, goddammit. Moving on to trope number 2, the useless flashbacks. We're going for a classic yet again, but don't worry, the next few tropes won't be as predictable, but I just had to talk about this one after seeing the new Demon Slayer movie because, come on, why does my movie have to be 1 hour of actual content and another 1 hour of seeing some random demon's backstory? If the character is really important and interesting, sure, I don't mind getting some context and backstory here and there, but when you start seeing flashbacks for every single minor character in the show, it just starts taking value away from it and it makes me hate the character for wasting my time. I can figure out that a character had a tragic backstory without having it shoved down my throat like I'm an ignorant fool. The best characters are the one who require no flashback, or at least a very short amount of flashbacks. You know how they are and you understand them through their words and actions. To me, flashbacks just feel like a straight up disrespect to the viewer's intelligence or a very lazy way to shove a ton of information quickly instead of actually incorporating those informations in a more creative way. In Demon Slayer's case, it tries so hard to force us to feel sympathy for demons. Like Tanjiro defeats a demon that was totally fucking irredeemably evil 5 minutes ago, by the way, but now that he's defeated, for some reasons, he feels like yapping his entire sad life before dying, which leads us to a 30-minute flashback that explains why this evil demon is actually not so evil after all, because womp womp, sad life, my dad beats me or something. My dad was mean to me once when I was 15, therefore I am totally in the right to commit a genocide. Yes, totally logic, demon, thank you. Am I the only one here thinking that shit's lazy? If you want me to feel sympathy for your demons, write them that way. Give me a reason to feel bad for them. Don't just trauma dump me for 30 minutes and then tell me, feel bad for this guy, he had a hard life. Oh, and look, Tanjiro's crying. This is sad and emotional. Buddy, this motherfucker killed 50 people in the last 15 minutes. No amount of sad backstory excuses that. I don't care if your father went to get the milk, it doesn't excuse mass murder. Flashbacks can be great here and there, don't get me wrong. It can help make the anime better, but they should be used to reveal, not to explain. That's a big difference. I don't like being told what to feel by a flashback. It assumes you need things spelled out for you, and it destroys the pacing of the show as well. To follow up with our previous point, our third trope is show don't tell. Okay, this may be a pretty obscure term for some of you, so let me explain. Show don't tell means showing the viewers elements that will lead them to a conclusion instead of straight up telling them. For example, Gun from Hunter x Hunter. If you ever watched Hunter x Hunter, you probably already saw one of the 1,000 videos that tries to figure out Gun's psychology and how much of a psychopath he is, but none of this is ever clearly stated in the anime.
Gon is a mentally f***ed up psychopath with sadistic tendencies and anger issues who's most likely on the autism spectrum. No normal 11 years old with a loving family acts that way. Like seriously, what's wrong with this kid?
We as viewers simply witness Gun's action and come to the conclusion that he's a psychopath. The show never straight up tells us, hey viewer, by the way, Gun is a mentally fucked up child. That is show don't tell right here. You hint at things so that the viewer can feel that satisfaction of figuring out things himself. You show him, but you never tell him. Sadly, most anime don't really use show don't tell, they just straight up tell the viewers how things are. It's like the moment where the villain feels like having an introspective moment for some reason and explaining his whole psychology, philosophy, worldview, powers, and evil plan, when in reality, most humans have no idea how their own psychology works and why they do the things they do. Another example of this is characters explaining their 2-page essay of a power to make sure the viewer understands how it works. The only anime I know in which that revealing your power bullshit is well done is in JJK and Hunter x Hunter, because there is actually a good reason to reveal your ability in those animes. Both those animes have a contract system in which if you reveal your power, you get more cursed energy or more nen. They actually have a reason for having to shove information down their throat, which I respect, especially considering Gojo's powers literally required a team of scientists to write, and Hunter x Hunter nen abilities require entire pages to explain. But overall, I think we're all tired of seeing motherfuckers wasting many minutes of our time explaining concepts when we could feel a much greater satisfaction just watching the details and figuring it out ourselves. Alright, let's move on to trope number 4, the shallow morality of villains. Am I the only one that hates it when a villain has some stupid philosophy, like Pain from Naruto justifying mass genocide because someone was mean to him a couple years ago? Or Horus Heresy betraying John Warhammer because he was a bad father? Wait, wrong universe. Anyways, some anime villains have great ideologies that we can low-key agree with as viewers. Those villains make us question if the hero we follow through the entire show is truly in the right, or if the so-called villain is the one that's actually spitting facts. And that indecisiveness is what makes a good story, in my opinion. Johan Liebert and his nihilism, Shoko Makishima and his faith in true freedom, Meruem, Griffith, Askeladd, all of those are good examples of villains that actually have a good and deep writing. Okay, actually take Griffith off that list, I don't want to get cancelled here. But on the other hand, we got some goofy villains that have the most garbage motivations to be villains. As I mentioned earlier, Pain is a great example of stupid motivation. Maybe I'm just stupid and Pain is a giga-brain Chad, but to me, nothing he does makes any sense. Pain is supposed to be a relatable and ambiguous villain because in the end, all he wants is peace, right? But in his mind, the only way to achieve peace is making everyone feel so much pain that they'll never go back to war again. He thinks that by committing genocide, he'll traumatize the people enough to create peace, but that's such a retarded argument. It's like, oh yeah, if I beat this guy and kill his whole village, he'll become peaceful and definitely won't want to take revenge, which would continue the cycle of hatred forever. Even if this idea did work, a couple generations later, people would just forget the trauma and start fighting again. His motivations were so ass and illogical that a simple talk no jutsu from Naruto was enough to make him realize, wow, I'm actually an hypocritical dumb piece of shit with the worst motivation ever. If your villain is gonna be a goofy goober with bad motivations, I'd rather have a straight up evil villain. Give me a Dio Brando level hater who just lives because he fucking irrationally hates your bloodline. Or yet again, even better, give me a Reverse Flash who goes back in time to jerk you off at hyperspeed to make it seem like you came at just a woman's touch. Don't try to gaslight me with ridiculous, stupid-ass motivations. Okay, it's now time for trope number 5. Ridiculous power scaling. Whether it be the student council somehow having more power than the Japanese government, or anime that started as a show about ninja becoming an anime about fighting alien gods, or yet again, beating godlike beings with the power of having a healthy relationship with your friends, ridiculous power scaling is a bit overdone and just makes the story feel ridiculous and inconsistent. I don't know why I end up glazing Hunter x Hunter so much in this video, but this anime is just so goated, especially when it comes to power scaling. Nen makes sense as a power system. It has rules, it is regulated, it is divided by class counter each other, the powers stay consistent within their class, and for every bullshit ability there is, there's always a massive trade-off. You can't just blow up gods without consequences. Hell, just to beat a gender-ambiguous fanboy furry ant, Gon had to commit the equivalent of Nen suicide. Nen is the type of power system I fuck with. It is consistent, it has clear and defined rules, and it all makes sense. Unlike other animes where motherfuckers' powers make absolutely no sense at all, and the difference between having a character win or lose a fight entirely depends on what the plot needs to happen. Sorry fairy tale fans, but I'll once again have to shit on your anime. Magic and fairy tale is cool, but Natsu goes from getting absolutely destroyed by enemies early on in the show to absolutely shitting on those same enemies a couple seasons later, but he still uses the same moves, same magic, and same level of brain activity. Nothing changes, but somehow he just becomes so much stronger through the show, and nothing except I guess fighting experience maybe explains this. Naruto is a great example of a power system that totally fell off. Naruto used to be about cool ninja techniques and clever tactics. It used to be Shikamaru cleverly using his shadow technique to beat Ino. It was also Naruto going underground, outsmarting Neji and beating a genius with cleverness. The Chunin exam arc was truly peak Naruto, but towards the end of Naruto Shippuden this time, it's all about bullshit Mega Winga Bumble Rasengan and Susanoo Toonfulry defeating alien gods because my big ball is bigger than your big ball and my folks boyfriend is Zengi. Don't get me wrong, I do love myself some brain dead solo leveling action with a totally goofy power scaling, but I think a solid and consistent power scaling makes the difference between a good and a great anime. Trope number 6. Fake powerless protagonists who secretly have the most overpowered ability ever. That one is a bit personal, you may not relate to it as much as I do, but god I hate those protagonists. Those main characters like Naruto and Asta are always yapping about how they're self-made, like those fake you to millionaires guru, and yet they're all hypocrites. Oh my god, my name is Asta. I am powerless, but in a world where everyone uses magic, I have the ability to literally hard counter everyone with anti-magic. Oh yeah, I'm self-made, right? Haha, Nepo baby. And Naruto yapping about beating geniuses with hard work like I said earlier. Shut up! Every time you slightly lose a fight, you start crying and you call for your overpowered magic daddy fox to boost your elo and carry you out of bronze. Like, you're a goddamn fucking hypocrite. Same thing goes for Mashle and Midoriya as well, but to a lesser extent, I guess. I love characters like Guts and Subaru who truly are powerless and spend their time losing, but they still keep fighting. Those two are real warriors, even if they get negative div by half their verse. Well, in Subaru's case, he gets dived by every single living thing in this verse, but you get what I mean. You put Naruto or Asta in Subaru or Guts' place, and I guarantee you they'll go back crying to daddy for money to start a new business because they are not actually self-made, just lying hypocrites. I don't want to hear Naruto talking about perseverance when every time he gets dived, he calls his daddy Kuruma to let him borrow that hot red overpowered energy. Also, Asta literally calls a devil and uses a magic book that was created after genociding an entire race uses anti-magic, and he dares say that he's strong thanks to his push-up that he's been doing. Like, come on, buddy. If you're gonna make a powerless character, keep it to the script. I would love to see a commoner struggle against the cruelty of real life. One of my favorite side character in anime is Moomin Rider. Not because he got powers, but because even though the only thing he has is his bike, he still fights and he keeps doing so even if he knows he'll never get any bullshit type of power up. Stop giving me that hypocritical self-made man bullshit and give me more real dudes that really struggle against a cruel and unfair world. But anyways, enough trash talking powerless protagonists, now let's talk about the total opposite. Now, trope number 7, the main characters that are always special. I know that as humans, we have a natural brain programming that makes us love a special main character because we can self-insert and imagine ourselves in their place, and everyone loves being special and have all of the attention, don't lie to me. But having a special MC doesn't make your story automatically better, and I'm tired of pretending it does. Every character doesn't need to be based on Jesus Christ that's there to save everyone. I do enjoy myself some Sungjin level bullshit every once in a while, but I'd also love having a character that isn't great because he was written with some special ability or the fate of the world in his hands. I want to see some regular guys, some regular Joe go through shit and see where that leads the story. Take Durarara for example. This anime is just a bunch of regular Joes, some less regular than others, I'll admit that, who interact with each other with an overarching story, and this anime is great. No super overpowered BS, no savior of humanity behavior, just a bunch of pals and gals living their lives. On another level, the same thing can be said for Guts. Guts is massive and strong, and you could debate that he is special, but the special motherfucker in Berserk is not Guts, it's Griffith. And yet, Guts is the main character and Berserk is still regarded as one of the best manga of all time, because it's not the story that makes Guts special, it's Guts that makes the story special because of his character development and his great writing. I get that the special overpowered main protagonist is cool and he's just like you for real, just like me and Ryan Gosling are actually the same person, I swear to God, but personally I'm tired of seeing that shit, but I'm sure that the Song Jinwoo Glazers will dox me and burn my house down for daring to say this. Okay, I'm getting a bit too heated here, so I'm gonna chill a little and talk about trope number 8. Where are the parents? This trope isn't that serious, it's not that deep, but I think it's pretty funny how most animes get the Charlie Brown treatment and have a non-existing parental figure. Like, I get that your parents work abroad or whatever, but you are 15, and in the rare case where the parents are actually physically present, the writers nerve their IQ and make them totally oblivious idiots to try to bring some impression of maturity to the protagonist. I find that so silly. I feel like great parents are such a plus for animes. The mother from Erase is such a goat, and even if we don't see them for long, Subaru's parents made such an impact during season 2, and yet most anime would rather have a cool and mature protagonist that raises his parents instead of having the parents actually raise him, because that would make him look like a beta and non-cool, and we can't have that in anime, right? Now, trope number 9, the role of girls in anime. This one is not as true as it used to be a couple years ago, but girls in anime are often characters that exist for the sole purpose of being a tool for the main protagonist's progression. Rem from ReZero, for example, exists only to support Subaru through hard times and love him when he is depressed because he died for the 385th time that day. She's a plot convenience that pushes Subaru to keep going instead of offing himself, let's say. Not that it would work in this case though. Anyways, that girl has literally been written off the show for the past 8 years. She's just laying on a bed, she's literally nothing more than a motivation to keep Subaru fighting. And then you have the other girls such as Kagura, Mikasa, Orihime, Misa, Asuna, Hinata, Elizabeth, Ino, Emilia, and basically just name any girl from any anime ever, have the sole purpose of yelling the protagonist's name and helplessly look as he powers up and saves her. Some other girls suffer a different fate and end up rolling the dere roulette, which will define their whole personality for the entirety of the show. They can become a tsundere, a yandere, a kudere, a dandere, a dere-dere, a imedere, ujidere, kamidere, mayadere, bakadere. And her character will never derivate from that personality trait. She'll just become a bland tool to make the main character shine even brighter. Even when the female characters have strong powers, the writer still finds a way to make them useless. One of those examples to me is Orihime from Bleach. It is canonically stated by Aizen himself that she got the single most overpowered ability in the show, which is on par with the power of a god. That's exactly what Aizen said. But since she's a woman, she's stuck in the useless jail and only uses her abilities to heal and build useless fucking shields that break every time someone hits it. We need more women characters like Mereoleona or Maki who can actually hold their own and be useful in the show, and I'm very grateful that more modern anime actually have useful women because damn, I know I like to glaze old early 2000 anime, but when it comes to having a great female characters, those anime were not the best at it, especially shonens. Psycho-Pass is a great anime with a female lead, for example. Holo from Spice and Wolf is also a great character. Good women just make the story better in my opinion. I get that we nerds all love having a woman crying for us because she loves us and it makes us feel things that we'll never feel in real life, but it needs to stop. It's just cringe now, come on, stop crying. And now, the final but not the least. Actually, that's not true. I used all of my best tropes early so that you'd keep watching the video, haha. But trope number 10, power and consistency. This is the classic example of the boss when you fight him as an enemy and the boss as a playable character meme. Characters that are shown as overpowered when the protagonist fights them get absolutely destroyed 1 or 2 arcs later just to hype up the next villain, and then this next villain will also suffer the same fate and get annihilated by the next cool villain. Remember when Vegeta used to be a strong and important villain? Yeah, now his whole existence has the only purpose of hyping up villains that fuck him up at the start of every arc. Another example of this that I personally hate is Ichigo from Bleach. We all know this guy is OP, this abomination of a protagonist that's half human, half Shinigami, half Quincy, half Fullbringer, and half Holo. Okay, that's like 5 half, so it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but that's exactly what Ichigo is, a protagonist that doesn't make sense because of how OP he is. But to keep the plot running, they keep nerfing my boy when I know for a fact he could easily beat some of his opponents. for like half of Bleach, Ichigo spends his time being a whiny bitch and getting low diff by people way below him just because he was depressed or had some psychological issues. Every arc he unlocks a new power, whether it be Bankai, Mask, or Fullbring, and yet no matter how much he progresses, he still gets gapped by the new villain and undermined by the plot because the plot actually requires it.
Where is your sword?
Don't need it.
And when you think about it, none of Ichigo's W's were actually earned. He beat Byakuya thanks to his inner Hollow carrying him, he beat Ulquiorra thanks to his fully Hollow form carrying him, he beat Aizen thanks to my glorious King Urara carrying him, and I won't get into Iwalk or whatever his name is because spoilers, but like damn, please, I want to see my protagonist being the #1, not some bitch like a... Ichigo gets both carried by the plot and fucked by it at the same time. That's inconsistency for you right there. God, in the latest season, Ichigo comes back from his training arc and looks all cool and stylish and already starts losing to some low-level goons. I get that you want your character to have some interesting development, but damn, I hate seeing my goat being nerfed just to fit a narrative. And don't give me that he's a good guy, he doesn't want to hurt people excuse. Dang, dog, I'm sorry, but when everyone tries to kill you, you don't care about hurting them. That's just a street excuse to nerf your overpowered character. If you want to nerf your MC so bad, just give him the Gojo treatment, lols. Okay, I'm finally done. My throat is starting to hurt, but that was the last overdone anime trope for today. What are some tropes you think are overdone or straight up stupid? Do you agree with what I said? Is Pain actually a Giga Brain villain, or am I just stupid? Where are the parents and why do they always work abroad? Tell me all about it in the comment section, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and tell me if you like this format, and maybe I'll do a part 2. If you like me yapping and complaining about stuff, you can watch my very wise and uninformed rant about solo leveling right here, or watch some of my other artwork. On this note, bye-bye.